New The Mandalorian, rumors about bounty hunters, set-ins, and other supporting characters.
Oh my.
How's it going, everybody? This is Phil. I'm over here on StarWarsNews.net. And this is an article that was put up by Grant Davis. And apparently Grant has a time machine because today is actually April 3rd. And this is dated for April 4th, 2019, not 2018. So apparently we have finally once and for all achieved the ability to travel through time. So this now is in fact news from the future. So eat your heart out, Mike Zero. Let's dive on into this here. So it says some new rumors about the inaugural live-action Star Wars series, The Mandalorian, indicate that we'll be seeing a lot of familiar bounty hunters from The Empire Strikes Back in the show. And fantastic. Yeah, let's get them in. Let's the whole guild, the whole bounty hunters guild. Let's get him in here. Let's get Forlom, Zuckuss, Bosk, IG-88, Dengar. And look, is there a possibility that Boba Fett could show up at some point in this show? Who knows? Maybe. Will he be mentioned or referenced? I would hope so, at least at some point. But man, it would be really cool if he pokes his head in, at the big reveal for the final episode. From what I understand, the show's already been renewed for season 2, even though it has yet to air. So that's the people like what they are seeing as far as within Disney and Lucasfilm. But then again, these are the same people who who gave Rian Johnson his own trilogy after they saw The Last Jedi before it was released to theaters. So take that with a grain of salt. Anyway, let's continue with the article. Star Wars Leaks subreddit moderator Jedi Paxis is back once again with a new set of rumors. He claims that he wanted to get ahead of the curve before Star Wars Celebration Chicago, hopefully, confirms some of what he's been told. First up are some details about the supporting cast of the series, which includes several of the bounty hunters that were introduced in The Empire Strikes Back. Bosk is said to be back with a new costume, and then we could sell more toys. And apparently other Trandoshans are going to appear in the series as well. Dengar is also said to be a part of the ensemble, although his look is unclear. Zuckuss is in the show as well, though there's no word on his physical appearance either. Most importantly, it appears as though Taika Waititi, I always struggle with this guy's name, I'm so sorry. Taika Waititi, son of a bitch, who's directed an episode of The Mandalorian, is indeed using his voice to portray IG-88 as speculated. Not that long ago, Jon Favreau shared an image with Waititi recording some dialogue in front of a shot with an IG droid in the foreground. And you can see it here. Here's the image that Jon shared, and there he is recording. You can see an IG droid on screen in front of him. Nice touch with the Mandalorian helmet there. And it wasn't clear if this was IG-88 or some other droid of the same model, but the source that Jedi Paxis is speaking with has reason to believe that this is the droid we're looking for. What's more is that he's meant to be the sidekick to Pedro Pascal's Mandalorian, and knowing Waititi may very well be a source of comic relief. That would definitely be a bit of departure from what most fans have expected from the character, but it seems like something that could still work. Yeah, I mean, I never thought of IG-88 as comic relief. K2SO worked in Rogue One. I actually love that droid, that character, his kind of dry sense of humor. It really worked in the Star Wars universe. It seemed to fit. IG-88 to me never came off as something of a comedic relief character. I always thought of him kind of as more of a cold, menacing Terminator, like T-800 from the original Terminator film, with his skin just torn off. He's nonstop, comes after you. You just gotta smash him in a garbage compactor to stop this guy. But Again, I guess we'll see how it goes. Right now, it's unclear if Boba Fett or Forlom will appear in the series, which is set 3 years after the events of Return of the Jedi. I would love just to have some kind of indication that this character is in fact alive. I mean, just that he escaped from Sarlacc's pit and he's out there somewhere in the universe while this show is taking place in this timeline. I mean, it would just add like another level of like intrigue and mystery to the overall story. Like, will he show up? Will he ever show up? Will he cross paths with the protagonist for this show? I mean, to me, that's something that I'm just like, I will be waiting for the whole time that I'm watching a show. Like, where is this guy? When is he going to show up? Let's see. What is clear, according to Jedi Paxis, is that none of the major characters from the original trilogy are going to appear at all. So that's Han, Luke, Leia. We won't see any of them. As for the show's original characters, he's only heard about Gina Carano's role, which is apparently heavily tied to the Mandalorian, has long, dark hair. My kind of woman. She doesn't wear a lot of armor, but the armor that she does wear is dark gray in color with a turquoise belt and gauntlets. There's also a character that's a blacksmith who provides our unnamed protagonist with upgrades throughout the show. So he's a Mandalorian blacksmith. He's kind of like, I guess, the James Bond's Q for for the Mandalorian. By the end of the initial run, the Mandalorian suit of armor has a lot more color in it with a silver finish. As for locations, it appears as though Tatooine is going to be the primary setting of the series. It'll be interesting to see what the planet is like now that the Hutt crime lord running things has been dead for a few years. Perhaps we might hear rumblings of what happened to Boba Fett. I would think that eventually Jabba the Hutt's son is going to take up the mantle. Rada, right? I mean, I don't know how old Rada is, 3 years from the passing of his father, but young crime lords isn't anything that's even unheard of, here on the planet Earth. So much less in a galaxy far, far away. So maybe we'll get to see some of Rada the Hutt's development as the show goes on. Perhaps we might hear rumblings of what happened to Boba Fett. Well, I would hope so, as a fan, who is implied to have escaped the Sarlacc pit before leaving his armor behind in the Aftermath books. That would certainly explain why the planned project about the character is on ice for the time being. That is true if Boba Fett was to make his appearance in this show, and then he's also having a movie. Look, why not just kind of roll him into this whole entire project here, and then maybe down the line there's a spin-off movie like a Rogue One or like a Solo, but a good movie. Aside from Tatooine, the show also features a forest world that resembles a mix between Endor and Kashyyyk, although it's not clear what this planet's name actually is. Maybe it's going to be called, I don't know, Kashendor? Who knows? Carino's character appears on this planet based on some concept art. And here we have that classic image now, the first reveal of the Mandalorian, walking through this rundown, village-like, Mos Eisley spaceport type of location. So I guess most likely this is a location on Tatooine, but again, it remains to be seen. Speaking of which, concept art and set photos of the Mandalorian has revealed that we'll be seeing some familiar aliens and creatures. One illustration features a group of characters right in a blurg. Nikto and Klatooinians, dressed similarly to Uruk-hai from The Lord of the Rings, appear as goons alongside a particularly large Quarren that stands a foot taller than the Mandalorian himself. Jabba's appeared to assist the Mandalorian at one point, while there's no word on whether or not the Gamorreans and or Tusken Raiders will be appearing somewhere. I mean, I would imagine Tusken Raiders at some point gotta show up if you're on Tatooine. That, to me, is just a given. One thing that a number of background characters have in common is that they'll be dressed in outfits derived from stormtrooper gear. That makes sense. I mean, it's a planet of scavengers, essentially. Lastly, there are two more details of note. Jedi Paxis saw concept art of a scene in the show in which the Mandalorian himself stands on top of a TIE fighter in flight while firing a flamethrower at one of its wings. I mean, that just sounds badass. Suggesting that the series is going to have cinematic action sequences that will make the show worth the price of a subscription. Yeah, I mean, for the price they're paying per episode, and they want this thing to make a big splash. I would imagine that we're going to get some pretty cool sequences that you don't normally see on shows that say show up on like the CW. I mean, you're going to get something of a way higher quality with this show. I mean, Disney has to really make an impression, especially since they don't have any of the original movies yet that they're allowed to feature on this subscription service. So they're really going to have to make a splash with this series and subsequent outings for their Marvel products and other Star Wars shows as well. So the second is a description of a droid on the forest planet that I will share directly here because it's pretty elaborate. The head is of an R4 astromech with an antenna. The R4 head is attached to a very small non-astromech body, standing on long, thin, inverted legs with bird-like feet, and two small arms shown holding a tray. I mean, that sounds it sounds completely absurd. Mounted to the back of the small body is a bucket. The droid appears to be quite tall, at least average human height, perhaps even taller. There are some similarities to this image that Making Star Wars put out a while back, but the shape and specifics are different. This is, yeah, that's a weird looking whatever that is. All right, so with news and likely actual footage from the show set to arrive at Star Wars Celebration of Chicago, we won't have long to wait to see if anything he's sharing ends up being true. The Mandalorian is expected to arrive alongside the launch of Disney Plus later this year. So man, that's a lot going on here with this show, but again, look, one of the things that I've liked from the very beginning with Jon Favreau, really he's a fan, and he holds a lot of reverence for Star Wars. He grew up with it as a kid, and he's a fan of it. So he stated that, this is a dream gig for him, this job. And, some of the things that we've heard and seen so far, and just nice little nods and touches to the original trilogy. We had Ice Cream Guy, who is Wilro Hood, show up. Well, not Wilro Hood himself, but the ice cream maker prop that Wilro Hood was seen running through the halls on Bespin when they were evacuating, and that actually was some form of a computer memory core. And they've also showed a full-scale mock-up or prop of the blaster that Boba Fett is actually wielding when he shows up on the back of that creature from the holiday special, the first time anyone has ever seen Boba Fett live on screen. Well, not live, I guess he was in a cartoon, but I mean, you understand what I'm saying. So, little nods like that, the ice cream maker, computer information core, the Boba Fett forked blaster from the holiday special, bringing back these guys, as many of them as possible. A lot of these things are nice little nods to the fans, and it sets the stage for this to feel like a genuine Star Wars story. Now, what they do with the characters and the story that they choose to tell will make or break this in the end. You could have all of the nice pomp and circumstance and cake decorating going on, but if it's a horrible story, then it's going to get trashed, and no one's going to really, in the end, no one's going to really give a crap. I mean, you look at The Last Jedi, when that first came out, the trailer was phenomenal. I love that trailer. I still go back and watch that trailer, and sometimes I just imagine a world where that movie never came out, and I was just filled with hope. After seeing The Force Awakens, I was just hoping that everything was going to go in a different direction and take the sequel trilogy to the next level, and I was just so disappointed. So, look, it remains to be seen what we end up with when it's all said and done. I have faith that Jon Favreau can deliver the goods here, and there's a lot of things in place that so far fill me with hope yet again. Now, can I have my hopes and dreams dashed? Certainly. It's happened before in the Star Wars universe. Jesus, man. Most likely it's going to happen again at some point. But I'm willing to give this show the benefit of the doubt. I like the idea of the subject matter. I always wanted to see a Boba Fett movie. We're not getting one. We're going to get this show instead. So I'm going to go into it with an open mind and really hope for the best. And look, You want to bring these guys in, as many as possible. Bring them all in. Bring Boba Fett back. Whatever you can do to make this feel as authentic as the original trilogy as possible. I'm all on board with that. So anyway, guys, let me know what you think about this information. Do you think any of it is true? Do you think it's a bunch of nonsense, bullshit? We're going to see. Celebration is coming up in a few days. We're going to have the panel, the Mandalorian panel. So Jon Favreau will be there. With other people who are involved with this show, and we're going to get information straight from the horse's mouth, and we'll see how much of this stuff is validated, these claims by Jedi Paxis over on Reddit. So anyway, guys, if you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe, comment down below, hit the notification bell, do all that good stuff that we like you to do, and I will talk to you guys sometime soon. As always, be happy, be safe, be healthy. Have a great day. Bye-bye.